World of Tanks Tech Tree Guide. This is a guide to the World of Tanks tech tree. I'm not going to talk about individual vehicles, but I'm going to go through all the little features, like what does this percentage mean, what does the blue percentage mean, etc. I'm going to explain what everything means. First of all, the tech tree is all of the nations and all of the tanks and all of the branches combined form the tech tree. The nations are on the side here. Yours might be in a different order depending on what country you live in. At the top, I have USA, Germany, Russia, UK, and France. These are the major nations which were early on in the game and have many branches. The ones at the bottom, Italy, Sweden, Poland, China, Japan, and Czechoslovakia, these are the newer nations and they have fewer branches. This is the tech tree, and the tech tree has branches which are 5 different classes. The classes could be tank destroyer, heavy tank, medium tank, light tank, and SPG, which is up here at the top. There's different tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So tier 0 you don't have to pay for, you get it for free. Tier 10 is the hardest tier. In tiers 1, 2, and 3, there's something called a collector's vehicle, which could be in the depot or the store. I guess it's in the store. You're going to see something called a collector's vehicle. I'm going to point out that over here there is a link on the menu that says tech tree. So when you want to go to the tech tree, you just click this menu option right over here. So the collector's vehicle means that there's some vehicles that are part of the tech tree but are not displayed in the tech tree. It doesn't look like they're here either. Yeah, I think it might be here. So you'll notice that when I hover over the tech tree menu item, it also pops up a little menu when your computer's working properly. These are the collector's vehicle. So when you hover over the menu, it'll say special top of the tree and has a percentage. That means that those branches have a discount. You'll get a discount for purchases, and you'll get higher crew experience, and you'll get higher EXP. There's a bit of a modifier per battle, and it shows you how many days are left. Usually it lasts a few weeks. So collector's vehicles, you see the USA has 16, Germany has 22. In some cases, I'll use China as an example. You see, this is a tier 10. This is a tier 3, and that's a tier 2. Some of these vehicles are really good vehicles. This is a 113. It's a very good vehicle. Used to be one of the top tanks in the game. You don't have to research it. You only have to buy it. You only have to have the money to buy it. But I believe you have to reach tier 10. Once you reach tier 10, it's automatically researched. So when you go into something like the USA, there's more diversity here. It shows you the cost for the vehicle. You have to research tier 3, and then you can buy all the tier 3s. And in this case, you've got a tier 7, which is one of the higher tiers. So we're going to go back to the tech tree. In all the vehicles, you can get what's called a mastery badge. And a mastery badge is where it says level 1, 2, or 3, and the other one is called Ace Tanker. And you'll notice that some of them have like a little gold leaf, and this vehicle over here does not. If you look at the part up at the top of the screen where it says M3Y. It shows the heavy tank logo in silver, and over here it has it with a gold wreath around it. The reason why is because that means that you've researched all of the modules, but with this one it doesn't have the gold leaf around the icon, so it hasn't researched everything. So when you get to tier 5, I believe, you can get a mark of excellence from 5 and up. And I think when you get to tier 6, you can do something called a field modification, which gives you extra hit points. It could make your gun aim better. It could give you better loadout, etc. When you reach tier 10, you can play grand battles and you can earn bonds. You can earn bonds per vehicle. There is a cap per vehicle. And with tier 8, you can play frontline and some other game modes. You'll notice that there's a percentage next to some of the vehicles. That means that there's a discount. You see in this case, there's no percentage. This one has 40% off. It's probably permanent until I use it. Once you use it, it goes away, but it might be there for years. And what I'm doing is I'm going to wait until New Year's Eve, which is a few days from now, and I'm going to see if I can get an extra discount. If you go to Germany, you'll notice that there is a discount here and a discount here and a discount here because the whole branch, which is highlighted, has a discount. Over here it's 30%, and over here it is 50%. And I chose this vehicle for a discount from Holiday Ops. This branch is part of the top of the tree, which is listed over here. Not only do you get a discount, but you're going to get extra experience per battle and crew experience, which will be listed under the missions tab. It's supposed to help you advance through the tech tree. So when they have the top of the tree, if you want to get the most value, you're going to play the vehicles on this tech tree. You're going to be able to get the chance of buying one at a significant discount, getting extra experience, etc. So you'll notice that over here, this is SPG on the top. And then we've got tank destroyers. And in this case, there's 2 lines of tank destroyers. And that's because one line are a certain type of turretless tank destroyer. You cannot move the turret. And they might have different armor. You can only move the gun. And the one on the second line might have less armor, but you can turn the turret all the way around or partially around. So the branches are different. In this case, we got a heavy tank line here and a heavy tank line here, and they have different characteristics. These are called the Yo tanks, where the turret is very thin and they have special tracks. And these are just the regular heavy tank lines. And then over here you see the same thing with the medium tank lines. These are auto loaders. These are single shot. In this case, it goes from medium into heavy tank, and that's because before the branch existed, these were heavy tanks, and that's the reason why. So down at the bottom over here, you see you have premium vehicles. You can buy these, and if it's like this one over here is tier 3, this one over here is tier 5. Tank destroyer medium, heavy tank, that's a medium, that's a light tank. Sometimes they're on discount, sometimes you can do a trade-in. Obviously the check mark means I already have it, and the little balance allows you to compare multiple vehicles. They'll appear over here on a button on the lower right. there's more premium vehicles available for this tech tree in the shop, online, on the website, that are not listed here. Also be aware that some of these vehicles might be identical to a tech tree vehicle, or sometimes there might be two premium vehicles that are nearly identical. For example, the Panther M10 is similar to the M10, and it's similar to the Panther. Russia has the most branches. So you've got, for example, for SPG, normally it's done in a logical order. You've got your SPGs up here at the top. And you see you've got two tank destroyer lines. These are rear-mounted tank destroyers. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So it's rear-mounted, it gets its own branch. And then you've got this other style, which is, these are both turretless tank destroyers. And then you have, I guess there isn't another branch of tank destroyers. So then we've got some heavy tanks which have different characteristics. For example, some of them have double barrel guns, which is over here. This gun has two barrels on it, which is a special branch, and all the vehicles in that sub-branch have two barrels, which is why it's fun to play. So what happens is, you'll notice that this BT7, it can play two branches over here, and then a third branch. You can reach 3 Tier 10 vehicles, or actually 4, by playing the BT7. If you play the T28, you can reach 1, 2, 3, 4. If you play this one, you can reach 3 branches. So you want to take that into account when you decide what vehicle to play. Like if you're here, if you're playing this MS1, you have to decide between the T60 and the BT2. The BT2 leads to many more branches. In fact, it can do all these vehicles over here, all these tanks. So you're better off going down that line than going down this line over here. You've just got fewer branches. There are some that cross over, like the KV2 will cross over to another branch. It allows you to skip this branch. So you could play the BT2, get the KV1, the KV2, go up into this higher tier, and skip all of these vehicles. The crew does not automatically transfer to the next tier vehicle. Sometimes you lose a crew member, sometimes you need to find a new crew member. Doesn't leave your barracks, you just won't be able to use it in the next vehicle. It's going to happen sometimes. In general, heavy tanks, tank destroyers might need 6, 5 or 6, and light tanks might need 3, medium tanks 4, crew, SPGs 5 or 6. Over here you'll notice that this one has a blue percentage. That's from the blueprints, which you find in the depot. You go to the depot, you go to blueprints, and you click this button. If they all disappear, you cannot make any blueprints. But you'll see over here I've got 7 out of 8, which means I just have to get one more, and I can research that tank without playing it. You still have to pay for it. So the blueprints are very important. I research every tank in the game, and every time they add a branch, I have to start over again. So if I haven't played, I haven't finished researching this branch. You'll notice that there's a value, it says 1393. That means that I have that available. You see over here it says combat experience. You click on convert. and then you click on this, and it shows you all your vehicles. And that means that the Panzer IV F2 has 22,000 combat experience, which you can pay to convert into free experience, or you can use it for your field modification. So if you see something like this T92 or the Lanson C, I think is a tier 7 vehicle. So we're going to look at a Lanson C. We'll go to the tech tree. We'll go to Sweden. Could have sworn it was in Sweden. Try Czechoslovakia. Yeah, I will go over to here. Any vehicle that has a check mark, you can find it by going over here. I thought that the Lanson was... There it is. The issue with the Lanson, it's not in the tech tree because it's a premium tank, and it wasn't listed in the premium shop vehicles at the bottom. It's a tier 8, and it says it's got 19,000 combat experience. So you click on field modification, and you see it lets me increase the level. You got to be careful. You only want to use... You don't want to use your free experience. You only want to use a combat experience. And then you get this extra feature. Which is available over here. That allows me to do a second loadout. This is the second loadout. So basically, if I were to go back to the combat experience, or if it were a tech tree vehicle, the combat experience that you see over here, 2,542, would have now been deducted by the amount that I just spent, which was 11,000. See over here, that 9,000? That means I need 9,000 more in order to obtain that vehicle. This means I have 2,400 extra. So if you see something that has a high number, then that means you can do a field modification. I don't see any of these with a high value. And it looks like I've gone through just about everything. So if you are going to choose a tech tree, my advice, unless you have a specific need, stay with the US, USSR, France, Germany, or UK. I would say if you want all-around vehicles, go with USA. If you want super heavies, high damage, go with Germany. If you want a little bit of everything, overpowered tanks, go with USSR. Because you see they have the most options. If you want, I don't know how to describe the British line, but the British line is better when you get to tier 10. They've got some good vehicles in here, but a lot of them are going to be a little slow. They're going to be a little slow. They might have more armor for some of the vehicles. And some of the guns are big guns. My advice is don't start out with the UK till you really know what you're doing. France, lower tiers are not very good, but the higher tiers, the tier 10s, are a lot of fun to play. A lot of autoloaders. Avoid these other lines. And the reason why is because you're going to want to diversify. Because when you play, if you have many branches and you die in battle, you can start another game. You're going to have other branches. Another thing is, if you don't have money to spend on the game, stick with one nation and you'll get the best crew experience. You can use equipment shared everywhere and consumables shared everywhere. However, camo, some of it is shared, some of it is per nation. crew is per nation, which means a USA crew can only be used on a USA tank. So they'll level up faster if you stick with one nation. You'll do even better if you stick with one class: heavy tank, medium tank, light tank, etc. In general, heavy tanks have a lot of premium vehicles and tank destroyers. So with Russia, you're going to have a lot of premium heavy tanks. For example, tier 8 premium heavy tanks for Russia, there might be 10 of them. So it's going to help you level up your heavy tank crew really fast and earn a lot of credits. Usually when you get a free tank, it's usually a lower tier vehicle, what they call a gift tank. Usually when you do a mission marathon, it's going to be tier 6, 7, or 8. And when you do like one of these campaign vehicles like the Stug 4, those are outside of the tech tree, but they belong to a nation and they can use the crew for a nation. If you look at the KV-1, it branches out into 3 different branches. Let's say you need 100,000 experience to get the KV-2 and 100,000 for the KV-1S and the 100,000 for the T-150. That means that once you finish the KV-1, you have to play it to get another 100,000 for this tank, and then you got to play the KV-1 another 100,000 to get this tank, and then you got to play it to get another 100,000 to get this tank. You only have one crew, so one crew will advance into another tank, and the other 2 branches you'll have to get a new crew. So they're going to start from 0 on these 2 branches, and this crew will move up. And then what most people do is they sell the older tank and they just start playing the higher tiers because you won't have the crew here anymore. So you've got 5 different classes. You've got light, medium, heavy, tank destroyer, and SPG. SPG is a very relaxed game. You can sit in the back. You'll learn a lot about how the game works because you're watching everything that's going on. You learn a lot about what's going on with the team. The light tanks are a lot faster, so it's all about driving. You have to drive very well. The medium tanks, in general, because they have weaker armor, they compensate them by giving them nice ammo. So if you buy the gold rounds for a medium tank, you could get some really good ammo out of it. With the heavy tanks, they have strong armor. Some of them are also going to be a little bit fast, like the Russian heavy tanks might be faster. In some cases, you see you got all these modules here. This has 3 different engines. Some of these modules might work on these tanks. Like, for example, this engine over here, let's check it out. You see it works on all of these vehicles. This is the KV-2, which is listed right here. The KV-1S is listed right here, and the T-150 is listed right here. So once you play this module, you'll be able to use it on these other vehicles without researching it. You'll still have to pay for it. However, if you play this tank, buy this engine, and then buy the KV-1S and sell this tank, you can keep the engine and move it into the KV-1S, or you can sell it and buy a new one. And if you sell it at a loss. So you probably don't want to do that. And the same is true with the guns. Not only might it work for a tank like a heavy tank, the S-51 is an SPG, the Su-152 is a tank destroyer, KV-85 is probably a medium tank, KV-13 sounds like a medium tank. So when you go to the tech tree, that engine might work with this vehicle, this vehicle, this vehicle, and it said the Su-51, which is over here, and it said the KV-13 and the KV-85. I don't see them listed here, so they might be in the collector's vehicles. You'll have to go into the collector's vehicles. They were previously part of these branches, but they removed it because they thought it was too difficult for you to understand, sadly. When you play these lower tier vehicles in battle, there might be a lot of robot tanks on the other team. I forgot the term that they use. AI tanks, bots is what they call them. When you play the higher tiers, you probably won't have any bots. So I'm going to look at one of the vehicles. I'm going to look at the KV-1. The equipment has 3 different classes. This is improved ventilation class 2. Class 1 is lower tier, class 2 is medium tier, class 3 is the higher tier. The directives work on any vehicle that has a directive slot. Lower tier vehicles might not have one. The ammo might work on a few different vehicles, probably if you have the same gun. Consumables work on any vehicle in the tech tree. So I'm going to hover over here, and you see that there's a little 3 with a wreath around it. That means that it is Mastery Badge level 3. The win rate is 39%. We've got some details about the vehicle, the sale price, how much combat experience it has, etc. So that's a little bit about the tech tree. You can also go to your service record and click on vehicles. And there's an option, it says available in garage. This is what you have in your garage. If you want to improve your win rate, you click over here and you play like this one over here has a high win rate and a lot of battles. My Black Prince has a high win rate and a lot of battles. So you play these vehicles and you will improve your win rate. And over here you'll see the elite system, how you're progressing on that, etc. Okay, so other than that, in service record, under medals, there are some medals that are specific to the tech tree. You'll know, like one of them will be for Germany, one of them will be for Russia, etc. I'm not sure where the medals are. But if you look around, you'll find them. If you look around, you'll see, this one looks like a Japanese, oh, that's Kamikaze. If you look around, you'll see there'll be something like, for how much damage you did in the German tech tree, or something like that. How many have you hit every vehicle? And there will be missions that are tech tree specific. So you might go over here. These are tech tree specific. It says top of the tree. This is for Germany and Sweden. See over here it says top of the tree and this is for Germany. And you might see other missions that are tech tree related. Unfortunately, now that the EU server is doing the missions, they don't do that many. On the NA server, they did a lot more missions that were very specific. Okay, so that's basically it. I'm just going to go through real quick, and I'm going to tell you what I recommend you do when you play the game. I'm going to start with the American tech tree. I recommend the American tech tree because these vehicles at the top, not all of them, but a lot of them are just so great to play. These tank destroyers are amazing. The E5 is amazing. The Yo tank is. T-57 Heavy used to be. The Sheridan has great spotting range. This SPG is good. I would definitely recommend going up the Yo line, either the E3 or the E4. For Germany, people want to play the Mouse. So the Mouse and the E100 I recommend. And there's going to be people that like the Grill and the Jagdpanzer E100. So if you like the super heavy, large damage guns, you're going to want to go up that line. For Russia, got a lot of choices. I like the Russian tank destroyers. A lot of choices with heavy tanks, but I definitely recommend the ST2, the double barrel line. I'm not that great with the medium tanks because of my high ping time. The light tanks, there's good things about them, but it's not my favorite light tank line. I would say the tank destroyers high on the list: 705A, ST2. Terms of England, definitely the Badger, definitely the FV 4005. The Conqueror is really good. It's a really good SPG. It's what the clans play. Super Conqueror, since it's been buffed, is really good. Manticore is really good. France, there's people that don't like the Foch. I happen to love it. It used to be the best tank in the game. The Batchat SPG is amazing. And the light tanks are really good. I highly recommend French light tanks. The autoloaders on Czechoslovakia, like the TVP, used to be top tanks. Maybe they still are. For Japan, you get the Type 5 Heavy. It's a fun tank to play. People complain about it, but when it first came out, it was very powerful. China used to have some of the top heavy tanks in the game. You got the Jet Booster line, which I recommend. The tank destroyers, that people don't like them. I happen to like them. The Chinese light tanks are very good. So I would say definitely go up the BZ line. Definitely the light tanks. After France, consider China. Poland has good heavy tanks. And you've got the turbo engines on the medium tanks, which I haven't really played yet. Sweden has very original, unique tanks. Low profile, autoloaders, amazing aim. Difficult to play. But if you want a challenging line of tanks, that's the way to go. And the STRV is one of the best tanks in the game. And the Udis 03. Italy, the Progetto, definitely. Talking about Progetto 65. These, when they came out, they're still good tanks. They're very popular. The Minotauro line, very good tank destroyers, and the heavy tanks are pretty good also. Don't have good armor, but they're autoloaders. So if you like autoloaders, you would go with France, then Italy, then Czechoslovakia. Okay, so that is my guide to the tech tree. If you have any questions or comments, post below.